And the last one might even be a bigger get at wide receiver than Tyler Harrell, who, while good, is more of a one-trick pony than Shemar Kirk from Reedley College, JUCO in California. This is a guy who's 6'1". He can, I think it was more than 1,900 yards or 1,800 yards across 2 seasons out there. He's fast and he's sudden in terms of, his quickness and athleticism, things like that. This is a guy who he can definitely play outside. He can definitely play the X or the Z. And you need that as well. And this is a guy who, I mean, if you look at his highlights, man, it's not just talk. He does it on the field. And yeah, getting him. So you get Kirk, and he's more of a well-rounded wide receiver option. On top of, you get the speedster Tyler Harrell, who can play pretty much anywhere, right? Because of his speed, because that speed will play inside, outside, anywhere. He's probably not going to be a Colby Young and go up over the top of guys because he's only, 5'11", 6 feet tall. But still, that's more height and length because he has long arms as well. He's more height and length than a lot of the, the Smurfs in this wide receiver room for the better, the most part. So you got Kirk and Harrell at receiver, Allen at running back, Richard at cornerback, and Monroe. That's not Monroe. It's Campbell from Louisiana Monroe, along with the interior defensive line, who could also flex out to edge. Yeah, in the last, and we were running down this before we started. It was like, yeah, it's been, some of these players have been committed for, 12 days, at this point, you know what I mean? Like, or it's been pretty much right after the last show we had 2 weeks ago. But I mean, getting those 5 on top of what you already have gotten in the transfer portal, it's not perfect, but Miami continues to find the right fits to plug the gaps on this roster and improve the overall roster moving into this season. And I think that there's probably still more that needs to be done. But, when you add those 5 on top of the guys that you've already added, and some, these are already on campus. But I mean, Jaden Davis, Terry Roberts, 93-year-old Cam McCormick, Branson Dean, Matt Lee, Francisco Mauagoa, Thomas Gore, Devontae Brown, and Javion Cohen. You add those 5 I just said to that cadre. This is what we're talking about with Cristobal of flipping this roster. I know that everybody's looking at like what Prime is doing in Colorado, and he's just dump trucking everybody off of that roster and started from scratch. It's not that here in Miami, but like it's not too different. But I really like the intentional selectivity of the guys that we're bringing in, on top of really a great recruiting class. Or, 2, but the first one was just a little bit of half a class, last year. But yeah, Cristobal and company are really doing work in the transfer portal. I really like what I'm seeing. It really gives me a little more confidence towards this season, because absent even those last 5 additions, wasn't really in a comfortable place personally with where this roster is. So I'm more comfortable where the roster is. It's not where it needs to be either this year or, in the short term or long term. But it's, markedly better, I think, than it was. So, that's really good to see. And hopefully this continues,
And the numbers, of course, shouldn't be and don't have to be for Miami and Mario Cristobal taking over a top 15 to 20 roster in the country, what it has to be for Deion Sanders taking over the worst roster in the Power 5.
Yeah.
So obviously.
Well, if you look, Cristobal and company, they're turning over since he's taken over here. The numbers are probably similar
in 2 years, though, in 2 cycles.
Exactly. In 2 years. That was going to be my point. The raw number, yes, but like Prime is just trying to literally just, I went to work and the power went out. So I came home and the power's blinking and I'm not sure. So I'm throwing everything away from the fridge and I'm going shopping for new food because I'm not sure about anything. So just, discretion being the better part of valor there. I'm just going to throw it all away. I'll milk, eggs, everything that's perishable. I don't know. I can't trust it because I don't know. So let's just all throw it away and get all new stuff, which is a very interesting paradigm because, it's one thing to do it in basketball when you have, at max, a 15 player roster, you know what I mean? Including walk-ons and everything. And one player can change the culture and everything so much, but in a sport with 85 scholarships and you're playing 11 guys at a time, you're starting 33 guys if you're talking about offense, defense, and special teams, even though there's probably some overlap there, but like that is a choice, but we'll see what happens.
So anytime there's player transition or acquisition, I should say, in college football, whether that be from the high school ranks or through the transfer portal, at least for me, and I think I'm speaking for most, the obvious is to first go to either the recruiting rankings or to go to the school. If it's a current college player, where's this guy coming from? So you see Tyler Harrell, okay, Louisville, Bama wanted him. If they're going to sign him, then that means something. He did numbers in the ACC. We know what that is. But then you're talking about Shemar Kirk being a more complete wide receiver, and we have no evidence of that on the surface. So you're taking that from film evaluation, or what else?
Yeah, just looking at the film and reading there's been evaluations by other people and things like that. So just looking and seeing. I mean, and first of all, the thing is, from a size standpoint, I know that 6'1" isn't Shaq compared to 5'10", but it matters. You know what I mean? Like Amon Richards was 6'1", 6'2"-ish. Stacey Coley listed at 6'1", but he was in that 6'1", 6'2". Right? Like, you would not confuse either of them with being these, the Smurfs, the mainly slot receiver sized guys. And so that immediately stands out, that he's like a legitimate sized wide receiver. If you want to look in the league, you're talking about Stephon Diggs is 6'1", and he's a monster. You can look at other guys with that same similar height. So like, but it is noticeably bigger than 5'9", 5'10". So then you get that. And then, just, watch the film, man. And everything. So, and then, just seeing, what others have said and written about him as well. And then you marry all those things together. You look at it like, he's, and from an alignment standpoint at Reedley, he's playing outside like most of the time. So then you see him do that, and I know it's JUCO and everything. So I'm not saying that it's that you're getting a first team All-American right now, but you're getting somebody with a performance profile that is different than a lot of the other receivers on the the ones at the top of this rotation. Absent Colby Young, right? Colby Young being 6'4", 6'4.5", 6'5", whatever it is. Got it. Frank Ladson. He was a high school All-American, but he's looking like he's just a guy. Michael Redding Jr., he went to IMG, but he's looking like he's just a guy. They're 6'3", the both of them, but like, if you're not separating and you're not catching the ball when you're on the field, what effectiveness does that have? You know what I mean? But then you get a guy in Kirk who seems like he can fill that void at a smaller size than the 6'4" guys, but bigger than the 5'9" guys. You just kind of put all that together.